In last week's episode, we finally made our first connections from the Renault body to the Volkswagen pan. If you haven't seen that video, there'll be a link down in the description. On this week's episode, we're going to be adding structure to what we did in last week's episode, building a frame for the gas tank, and ultimately mocking the gas tank up. What that's going to do for us is allow us to see where all the other bars for our structure can go. The gas tank's going to be a very large item in here, so we have to make sure we could get that in first. Also, by the end of the video, we should be able to make this thing do a little up and down action. Let's get into it. So the two additions to support on what we did in last week's episode are going to be crossbar from here to here, and then I want to plate the bottom of this just so no debris can get up into the tubes, and it's going to just give it a little more structure, tie it all together. So we've got the crossbar cut and magnets holding it into place. We're just going to throw some tacks on it, and then we'll get going on the support plate. So we've got our cross brace all fit in and welded. I was gonna cut a plate for the bottom, but I think I'm just gonna buy some 2-inch strapping to go along there. So I'll do that at another time. It's not important right now. So next we're gonna get on building the frame that's gonna hold the gas tank in. And I have two options when it comes to gas tanks. I have this, which would be a more of like a 62 era tank. And then I have a hump tank, not that one in particular. I have another one in the house that I would use that's in really good shape. So what I'm gonna do is grab that tank and just start mocking the two of them up and just see which one I think is gonna work better. So after mocking up both tanks, we're gonna wind up going with the later tank. There's a couple of reasons. This one in particular is brand new, so right off the bat, that saves me time and money. Second reason is it just fits a little better. It's a sleeker design, as you can see, over the hump tank. The third reason is they don't reproduce hump tanks, and I need that one for another car that I have, which it is what it is. I could always find another one, but after taking some measurements, it seems like the later tank's just gonna fit better. So what we're gonna do is build kind of a cradle out of our square tubing and try to get it mocked in place. So it's a couple hours later and we're getting started on the cradle build for the gas tank. I have a couple measurements here. We got 29 by 16 3/8. That's essentially gonna be our square. We do have to clearance for the steering column, and I've cut a couple of pieces already, and this is kind of the idea. We're gonna do 45-degree angles and weld up the seams. So this is 129. We're gonna have to cut this to 16 3/8, one across here, one back, you get the picture, and then we'll notch one of these for the steering column. So let's get that cut and welded and see how it fits. So this is what we got. This is our rectangle, our cradle that's gonna hold the gas tank. Pretty basic stuff. We just cut 45-degree angles, fit it all together. It's equivalent lengths on each side, so I'm gonna get it tacked together and then we'll get it test fit on the bottom of the tank. So it fits good. I'm gonna get it all full welded up and then we'll start notching for the steering column and figuring out how we're gonna get it set in the car. All right, so this is kind of what I'm thinking. Obviously nothing's welded, everything's kind of just propped in place. Gas tank will fit right in there. And then remember, all this is gonna be sheet metal. You're not gonna see anything. It's essentially gonna be flat to here, all the way back to the firewall. There'll be some tubs, obviously, for the front wheels. And then I think I might just drop this straight down like that and over flat, and kind of, we could put our air ride setup in here. So that's kind of my thought process on that front end section. I'm actually real happy with the way it came out. I think it's gonna work perfectly. It's not near done, but a few more bars in the front and then start tying in the sheet metal. And I think it's gonna be way sturdy enough, especially for what it is. So I'm gonna head in for the night. We'll get back at it tomorrow. So we've got the cradle all cleaned up and some weld through primer on it. Next, we're going to punch some holes in the firewall. That way we can kind of fit it up in there and plug weld it. After that, we'll get the standoffs built and get this thing welded in. So if anyone's wondering, this is the tool I use to punch holes in the sheet metal. You can get these things on Amazon. If you've watched any of my earlier videos, you've seen me use this to do pans and stuff. It's a great tool. I'll leave a link down in the description if you guys want to get one for yourself. And this is the work it did. We got a bunch of holes punched in the top. I had to drill these back ones, but if you can see, we've got holes all the way down, and we'll fit that cradle up in there as shown before, and we'll just plug weld all those things up. So that's what we're gonna do right now. So we've got our firewall plug welded to our gas tank cradle, and I've got a couple of standoffs cut and beveled. So we're just gonna tack those in for now and then set the tank in, see how it looks. So that's the cradle mostly done. I do have to finish welding these standoffs, but I'll get to that at another time. Let's drop this gas tank in. All right, so gas tank's in. Obviously the clear problem is gonna be that we're gonna need to either shorten it, but what I suspect we're gonna be doing is kind of deleting it from here and moving it to the center. As you can see, these support bars on the hood land right on it, so I'd like to get it kind of right here. But that's something for the future. If you guys made it this far, I assume you like what we're doing. So if you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button. For those of you who are subscribed and watch all these videos, it's because of you. We now have memberships on the channel. It's not anything you need to do. It's just another way to support the channel. So if you're interested in that, check it out. It should be below in the description area of the channel. I do not expect anybody to do it, but it's there. It's an option if you want to be my guest. But I think that's gonna be it for this video, but we will end with a little air out, the very first one. Love you guys. See you next week.